Hey folks, Deano here again. This time taking a look at another Dragon Stars figure. This is another older one, which I have finally managed to track down. This is the Broly Dragonball Super version, otherwise known as Wrathful Broly, because for whatever reason companies seem to forget that Wrathful Broly and normal Broly are different forms. Even Sparking Zero, which honestly I've praised for some of their added details. They haven't included base form Broly. They're just including Wrathful Broly as base form. It's a bit annoying. But anyway, enough of my rants. But yeah, I will be completely honest, right off the bat. The only link I've got for this figure on Amazon has now went up in price. I didn't get it from Amazon, I got it from Curibo. I actually had a discount voucher and this guy was on special at the same time, so I ended up getting him for literally a fiver, which I thought was a steal at the time. Considering the fact that unfortunately I no longer have the original figuarts Broly, and I've been looking for a while at alternatives for his Wrathful form, because I have the Legend Creation bootleg. Kind of wish I would have bought two of that one, because now Legend Creation is gone. They've disappeared. So yeah, I've had him in Super Saiyan form ever since. So yeah, I really wanted this form on my shelf. So let's see if Dragon Stars can fill in that void, at least until we get a new version. Tamashii, anytime, please, or even third-party companies, like, hoping. But yeah, let's get them off the turntable and take a look at the box. So yeah, in terms of the box, it's your standard Dragon Stars series box. You've got Dragon Stars down the bottom, Broly, Dragon Ball Super version, Dragon Ball Super logo up the top, and the Bandai logo up the top. On the side, you have a picture of Wrathful Broly. Apparently they do know what it is. This is from Series 19. Didn't realise Series 19 of Dragon Stars were only 2 figures. The Dragon Stars line as a whole seems to have slowed right down. I think the only normal figure this year Super Boo. No, there was a couple more, which I am trying to track down. Omega Shenron and Baby, Super Baby 2, both from GT. Highly sought after figures because, I mean, GT isn't that popular these days, so a lot of people are looking for them. If I do get them at a decent price, I will be sure to review them. I do have the Super Saiyan Gotenks coming, mostly because the face sculpt on that actually looks really good. But also, like, I no longer have the figuarts one. That one I do not regret getting rid of because that figuarts Gotenks was, quite frankly, garbage in my opinion. But yeah, looking forward to that one. That is a power-up pack, so it was a bit more expensive. Had to import it from America because for whatever reason it is not in the UK yet. So yeah, getting back to this, only two in this series were Wrathful Broly and Super Saiyan Blue Goku. Yeah, the Goku molds have always looked a bit off to me, like all of them. The actual unique molds, Dragon Stars tends to actually do quite well with. That's why I like the Perfect Cell. I like the look of the Janemba, but I could never pick him up before he went up in price, unfortunately. But yeah, all the figures that are based off the Goku mold are kind of horrible looking to me. So yeah, that's why I've never picked any up. But yeah, made in China, manufactured by Bandai America. Some copyrights, not to 3 Sad Onions. Always love to see that. And all your other legalese, which you could possibly need. So yeah, let's take a look at his accessories, which aren't much. So we'll basically go straight on to looking at the figure after this, but the only accessories he comes with are a pair of grippy hands, and he's got a pair of fists on him. Unfortunately, Dragon Star's continuing the trend of giving you barely any accessories, whilst still charging like an actual decent amount of money for a figure. That's Bandai for you. But yeah, I do have to apologise. I am still, as of this recording, recovering from the man flu. I suspect it might have been the virus, because it's just not going away at all. But yeah, if I sound a bit weird on camera, or if I lose my train of thought, I apologise. That is why. So yeah, take a look at the figure itself. It's actually pretty decent, and it's quite well scaled as well. Once we take a look at the Broly's that I do actually have, that match this form anyway, he's actually properly scaled with figuarts, which is really good. That helps my cause a whole lot. The only thing I don't really like is the skin tone. For some reason, it's a sort of sickly skin tone that they've went with, whereas the figuarts one is like a more vibrant skin tone. But yeah, apart from that, it's pretty decent. He's not quite as bulky as I would like him to be, especially like the arms are sort of missing. Jump cut. Apologise about that. My dog's seen the postie and he had to announce his presence. So yeah, where was I? The actual like sculpt is decent, but the arms particular are kind of lacking. They're sort of just like big bulbous masses instead of accurately sculpted muscle, which is a bit of a shame, but I think I can hide that relatively well if I pose them and just put them on the shelf. But yeah, other than that, I do quite like it. I did have an issue out of the box with the leg, which we will get to once I get to articulation. But yeah, there's some sort of paint bleed on the legs and such, but I mean, you can't really complain, can you? At the end of the day, it is a more affordable figure. Maybe it could be a bit cheaper for what you're getting, but at the end of the day, I'm quite happy with it. But yeah, the only other thing I will mention, I know I keep nitpicking, his eyes. For whatever reason, they haven't sculpted his pupils inside the eyeball. Which, if I quickly bring this guy in, he should have a black pupil. So I may try to add that in with like a toothpick of that. We will see. Might not be able to notice it once he is on display and such. And the last thing is the usual deal with spiky hair on the Dragon Stars. Because these are more aimed at kids, let's be honest, these aren't collectibles. They are 4+. The hair is never as spiky as you would like it to be, so they kind of come across looking like almost bananas in shape. I do wish they would spike them up a bit more. Maybe just make them a softer plastic. Would that not like solve both issues at one go? But yeah, other than that, it's decent enough. In terms of articulation, he is pretty decent. Couple of limiting factors, but nothing really to write home about. The head, because of the amount of hair on his neck, he can't really look down any. He can look down ever so slightly, but that's mostly due to the neck. the lower neck, not the upper. He can swivel a bit, but the collar also gets in the way. I am honestly thinking about gluing that just to keep it in place, because that gets really out the road. A little bit of pivot, but not a whole lot. The shoulders, his shoulder armour pops out of the way. It is not as good as the figuarts one. It's similar, but it doesn't have the sort of a ball hinge system. It's literally just a hinge which you can clip that together. It's decent enough. Gets out of the way while still looking somewhat natural, as long as you futz around with it. So yeah, decent enough. Shoulders, if you move that out of the way, they can move the full 360, but that will get in the way. So you can move that out of the way or pop it off completely. The shoulders are a bit of a nightmare. For some reason they're on a sort of ratchet, which makes it a lot harder to pose them. But you can move it all the way in, move it out that far, and there is a sort of, it's like a ball peg with a straight peg at the end, but you can't really use it to get any sort of range, so he doesn't get any butterflies, I'm afraid. Bicep swivel is there, but because it's tighter than the shoulder joint, it doesn't tend to move much. Double joint at the elbow, which if you pop it the right way, can get about that much, which is about 90, which is it's not terrible, to be honest. If you pop it the wrong way though, you get less than 90, so you have to be careful when you're posing it. One problem I will say is they've sort of sculpted it in a way to give that extra bit of range, but because of that, the arms themselves just look really weird when they're down like this. So yeah, better to always have him powering up with the hands and the arms out. Hands are pretty much a copy of figuarts. They are a ball hinge, like so. Pop on and off, easy enough. We have no ab crunch to speak of, but we do have a ball hinge at the waist, which can get about that much down, about that much up, not a whole lot, and swivel. So yeah, the waist section is kind of hindered. There is like an old school figuarts pull down style hip. I'm showing this side because this side, it's a bit tighter now, but when I got it out the box, for whatever reason, it was way too loose and it wasn't holding a pose whatsoever. So I had to thicken up the peg with some super glue, and now it at least holds a shape. Yeah, you get pull down, which means you can get a bit of range. The skirt piece is separated, but it's still quite a thick rubber plastic, so you can get about that much before it really starts like forcing it back down, which is a bit unfortunate. Can he do the splits? I mean, it's decent, but again, the hip skirts are pushing it back down. So yeah, you're not getting them into any mental dynamic poses. Double joint at the knee, which if I can get it to pop, get some decent range. As long as you work round about that skirt piece, it does work okay. Pop that back down. I'll pop this back on before I completely forget. And the feet are again a little bit limiting. It's a ball hinge, which means you kind of have to put it in the perfect position to get the feet to sit naturally. Otherwise, it ends up looking a bit daft. So yeah, you can move them, but it's a bit more of a hassle than it really should be, to be completely honest with you. There we go. But yeah, if you move in the right position, that's about as much ankle pivot as you get. If you've got it front and back, you don't really get much range out of it at all. So yeah, bit of a shame, to be completely honest with you, but at least there's something there, I suppose. So yeah, let's try and get this guy back in a decent position. There we go, that'll do. So yeah, all in all, like a pretty decent figure. He will do nicely as a stand-in, in like a background display. Not really one that you want to be using as your main display, to be completely honest with you. Unfortunately, I have already tried the neck pegs and the hand pegs. That's disappeared into the abyss. I don't think I'm ever finding that collar again. But yeah, unfortunately, that neck peg is way too big for the figuarts sort of heads. These are the demoniacal fit, but they have the same size of peg. Not that you'd really want to, because like the skin tone doesn't match anyway. So it's a bit unfortunate, but it's just something we're going to have to deal with. So yeah, let's just pop the standard head back on him, like so. And let's bring in some other Brolys. So this is the superhero one. This is the official one I have. He is mostly the Wrathful Broly mold. They just gave him a slimmer torso. So if you see here, he's actually... I'm sure I checked this earlier and the scale was pretty much the same, but nope, apparently the, the Wrathful Broly for Dragon Stars is quite a bit smaller. I was not expecting that, to be completely honest with you. Did I measure him up against this one by accident? If we move this guy over a little bit, move this guy in the middle, yeah, the scale's a bit better with the figuarts one, but still smaller. I'm very confused with that. Apologies, folks. Looks like I led you all on. Yeah, but for whatever reason, I was sure this guy was the same scale. I don't know if I was just looking at him at the wrong angle or something, but yeah, I mean, if you look right there, I mean, he's smaller. I stand by what I say though. He will still look decent on your display in the background. As long as you don't have him near any of the other Brolys, he will be absolutely fine. At least in my opinion. But yeah, from that you can draw your own conclusions. For me, I'm still quite happy with the purchase, especially the fact that he was only a £5. Like I said though, he's a bit more expensive on Amazon. He might come back down in price, but he's a decent budget release. So yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Until next time, I'll see y'all later.